Welcome to Excellent English, everyone. My name is Alex. As we progress through these courses, I think now is starting to pick up a little bit and things are starting to get a little bit more difficult. So it may be time for you to start writing and taking lots of notes. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. That's going to help push these videos out to more people. Thanks for watching. All right, so over the course of these lessons, you may have noticed me say there is or there are. And in today's lesson, we're going to discuss there is and there are, when and how to use them, so there's no confusion moving forward. All right, let's get right into it. And as always, we're going to start off with some examples. And through these examples, hopefully we'll reach a higher level of understanding of the English language and improve your English grammar. For the first example, I have a countable singular, robot. There is a robot driving the car. And if we want to say this in the negative, there isn't a robot driving the car. There is a chicken crossing the road. There isn't a chicken crossing the road. There is a chicken crossing the road. There isn't a chicken crossing the road. Both of these examples that we've seen so far are countable singular. And so is this last one. There is a snake in my boot. There isn't a snake in my boot. There is a snake in my boot. There isn't a snake in my boot. And we can use there is and there isn't for uncountable nouns as well. There is magic in coffee. There isn't magic in coffee. There is magic in coffee. There isn't magic in coffee. And of course, here you can say there is not magic in coffee, but generally speaking, you want to use the contraction, especially with speech. I do highly suggest that you use the contraction in speech, but generally speaking, when we are having a conversation, when we're speaking, you want to use the contraction. And another uncountable example, there is love in the air. There isn't love in the air. There is love in the air. There isn't love in the air. And the last example for the uncountables, there is stuff in the locker. There is not stuff in the locker. There is stuff in the locker. There isn't stuff in the locker. So in all of these examples, when you're talking about something that exists, something that is there, something that is real, then you want to use there is when you have singular nouns. Singular, uncountable, countable nouns. And in the negative, as you know, it's there is not, there isn't, and the negative for the singular. So that's the first rule. And let's take a look at some more examples. Let's take a look at some more examples. There are monsters in the garage. There aren't monsters in the garage for the negative. There are monsters in the garage. There aren't. There are not monsters in the garage. Again, aren't is the contraction on this one, but you're always welcome to say there are not monsters in the garage. I do recommend that you use the contraction when you can and just get used to using it in your everyday speech. Another example, there are pigs flying. There aren't pigs flying. There are pigs flying, and in the negative, there are not pigs flying. There aren't pigs flying. One more example, there are scissors in the drawer. There aren't scissors in the drawer. There are scissors in the drawer, and the negative, there aren't scissors in the drawer. And the last example, there are cookies on the plate. There aren't cookies on the plate. So when we're trying to talk about things that exist, then we use there are. Okay? There are plus the plural noun. And when we want to talk about things that don't exist, then we use there aren't. All right, I hope that's clear. But what about when we want to ask questions? There is or there are. If we have an is there question, first thing you want to do is switch the places of there and is. Is there, not there is. For the question, is there. So is will be first, there will be second. Not there is for a question, is there? Is there a snake in my boot? And for the answers, yes, there is for the positive or affirmative. And for the negative, no, there isn't. Okay? Yes, there is. No, there isn't. Another example, is there a chicken crossing the road? Yes, there is. No, there isn't. Positive answer, yes, there is. Negative answer, no, there isn't. So when you have a question with a singular noun, then you want to use is there, countable or uncountable. All right, and moving on to the plural examples. Are there pigs flying? Positive, yes, there are. Negative, no, there aren't. There are no contractions for the positive answers. Yes, there are. And in the negative, you can use the contraction. No, there aren't. No, there are not for the long form. And one last example, are there cookies on the plate? Yes, there are. No, there aren't. Okay? So when we want to ask if something exists, is there plus the singular noun, countable or uncountable? Is there an apple? Is there a peach? Is there music? And the answer's positive, yes, there is. And in the negative, no, there isn't. No, there is not. Okay, if you want to ask if some things exist, then are there? Are there movies on the plane? Are there teachers at school? Yes, there are. No, there aren't for the answers. So in this slide, you'll find everything that we've talked about so far in this lesson. I do suggest you write all this down. When you have a positive statement for a singular, there is. When you have a negative statement for the singular, there isn't. And to ask the question for the singular, is there plus the noun. When you have two or more of something and you want to talk about them in the positive, there are teachers at school. There are cars on the road. And of course, in the negative, there aren't teachers at school. There aren't cars on the road. And if you want to ask the question, just remember that you have to switch the position. So are there plus the plural noun. Are there cars on the road? Are there teachers at school? All right, awesome. I think that's clear for everybody. If you have any questions, of course, leave them down in the comments. But let's move on to today's section quiz. And as always, go ahead and pause here if you need more time to answer, but let's go ahead and get to the answers. All right, so for number 1, there is a cat in the garden. Number 2, there are 2 apples on the table. Number 3, is there any milk in the fridge? So fridge is the short way to say refrigerator, but it is very, very common. And just like with the contractions, you want to try to use these kinds of vocabulary when you're having a conversation. Okay, number 4, there are some flowers in the vase. And number 5, is there any birds in the nest? All right, and that's another one done and dusted. I want to thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.